Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how we can create a few simple animations using JavaScript. We'll create a button and a div element. Heading to our HTML file, let's create a button. I'll give this an ID of my button. I'll add text, begin. This button will begin the animation. I'll create a div element, ID equals my div. Let's style our div element, my div. Choose a background color. I'll pick light green, but choose whatever color you like. A width of 100 is good. A height of 100 is good as well. Then set the position property to relative. We'll position this element relative to the container that it's in, the body of our document. Okay, save everything. In our JavaScript file, let's store our button element. Constant my button equals document.get element by ID. My button. Then let's get our div element. I'll name this my animation. Get element by ID, my div. When we press on the button, we'll begin an animation. We'll want to add an event listener to the button. My button dot add event listener. The event will be click. Then we will pass a callback, begin. Let's define this function. Function begin. What would we like to do? I'm going to declare a timer ID. We'll use the setInterval method. Let timer ID. I'll set this equal to null for now. We'll need some coordinates to keep track of our position of our div element. Let x, I'll set this equal to 0. Let y equal 0 as well. We will use the setInterval method, pass in a callback to a function. We'll name this frame. After how many milliseconds would we like to invoke this function? What about every 5 milliseconds? That's a good speed. SetInterval returns an ID of the timer that we're using. So let's assign this to timer ID. We will use this timer ID to stop the animation when it's completed. We're going to create an inner function. Function frame. This inner frame function will be in charge of updating our div element every 5 milliseconds. But when would we like to stop? Let's slide our div element to maybe like 300 pixels out. So I'm going to write an if statement. If x is greater than or equal to 200, then we will stop setInterval. We can do that by using the clearInterval method, pass in our timer ID. This will stop the animation. Else, if we would like to advance one frame, let's increment x by 1. X plus equals 1. Then we just need to adjust the left property of this div element. We'll take my animation, access the style, access the left property, set this equal to whatever x is currently, then add pixels. So when we begin this animation, it should slide to the right. And stop right about here. Now let's move this animation down instead of right. If y is greater than or equal to 200, y plus equals 1, my animation dot style dot top equals y plus pixels. Now this animation moves down. We could combine them both. If x is greater than or equal to 200, or y is greater than or equal to 200, then we will increment both x and y by 1. X plus equals 1. My animation dot style dot left equals x plus pixels. Now this animation moves diagonally. That's a simple slide animation. Let's make this element rotate. I think that would be cool. Let's eliminate some of these lines of code. I'll post all of this in the notes, so don't worry about that. Okay, we'll need a variable degrees. Set this equal to 0. Let's perform a full 360-degree rotation. If degrees is greater than or equal to 360. Then we will stop our timer. Else we will rotate by increasing degrees by 1, or a different number if you would like this to be faster. Take my animation, dot style dot transform, set this equal to, this string is going to be a little bit awkward. Let's rotate x, parentheses, we'll need to insert our degrees within quotes, plus degrees plus DEG. Okay, and that should be it. So this will rotate my element on the x-axis, and it does a full 360-degree turn. Okay, rotate on the y-axis. Pretty cool, right? Or z. Hey, just for fun, let's rotate this element and have it move diagonally across the screen. This will just be practice. Let x equal 0, let y equal 0. We'll continue this as long as x is greater than or equal to 200, or y is greater than or equal to 200. Increment x by 1, increment y by 1. My animation dot style dot left equals x plus pixels. My animation dot style dot top equals y plus pixels. Okay, this should move diagonally and rotate. Okay, let's make the spin a little bit faster. I'll increase degrees by 2. Or 3. Or a higher number, like 5. Okay, last one. We can scale the size of an image. So let's get rid of what we have written currently. Okay, let's create 2 new variables. Let scale x equal 1. 1 means 100%. Let scale y equal 1 as well. Let's scale this image twice as big. Our condition to stop is if scale x is greater than or equal to 2. Else, scale x plus equals maybe 0.01. This would be 1%. Then we will take my animation dot style dot transform, set this equal to scale, then within parentheses, we'll need to insert scale x and scale y, plus scale x plus, comma, plus scale y plus. And that should be good. If we're only scaling x upwards, then this element will expand horizontally. If we stop where scale x is 3, it would expand to be 300% on the x-axis. Okay, let's do this with y. Scale y. Y plus equals 0.01. This element will expand on the y-axis. Then let's do both. If scale x is greater than or equal to 2, or scale y is greater than or equal to 2, then increase both scale x and scale y. Then this element will expand in both directions. Or we could shrink an element by scaling down. Scale x is less than or equal to, what about 0.1? Do the same thing with scale y. Less than or equal to 0.1. Then let's decrement scale x and scale y. This will cause an image to shrink. So yeah, those are a few simple animations you can do with JavaScript. If you would like the code that I've written here, I'll post this in the comments section down below. And well, yeah, those are a few simple animations with JavaScript.